Oh, oracles. Wait a minute. That's not my line. That's your line,
Hello,
man.
oracles.
Sheesh. Sheesh. Today we've got Tim from Oracle Investments here, and we're gonna do Q2 preview. And I'm very excited for this because in 3 days' time, earnings is coming out, which we're gonna go live on Oracle's channel, by the way. So I'm very excited for that. It's my first time doing such a thing, live event for earnings. So I'm very excited. So it's gonna be us two, and let's see if we can get other people on it as well. It'll be an awesome time.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a good time. Yeah, we're going to try to get Brian on for My Tesla Weekend. He's taking a look at his schedule. It's going to be a long stream, so we may see if there's anybody who wants to jump in and out. But yeah, it's going to be like 3.5 hours long. It's going to be a doozy.
Yeah, I'm very looking forward to it. Very excited. So, Oracle, man, how you been?
I've been hot and sticky out here. I know it's hot and dry where you are, way hotter, but man, it is just sticky here in the Northeast and pretty much all over.
Dude,
what's going on, Sith Lord?
Seth Lord. Yeah, dude, it's like 60 degrees here. It's ridiculous. It's illegal out. Yesterday, just 2 days ago, I was recording with this guy that I met who has a Tesla in Kuwait.
Oh yeah.
And we were outside, and it was just like we couldn't even do half the things that we wanted to do because it was just so hot. It was on like literally. I thought my camera was gonna melt. It was bad. And the AC was on the entire time in the Tesla that we were recording in, and we were just sweating. You know what? This 2 hours enough. Let's just do this in wintertime. This is just. It was bad.
So now, what's the charging infrastructure look like there for him? I mean, I know that he's the only one that you've met so far that actually has one, but like, is it like actually an infrastructure there for it?
Well, here's the thing. I've met a couple guys before him, but they were shy, very shy to come on camera. They're like, okay. I'm not camera friendly. I don't want to come on. But you can talk to. I can tell you information about it. I'm like, no, I want to come on. We can tell everybody information. And this guy was the perfect guy because he owns garages. He's been in the
nice.
What's it called in the EV space and the I space for a long time. And he knows exactly what he's talking about. And
nice.
It was awesome. It was really awesome. And I had a jackpot with him with all the info that he had. So that was good. And he's been a Tesla investor since 2016. So he's been in it for a long time. Yeah. So he was cool.
I'll watch that video.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really informative, but too bad it was too hot because we just had to cut it short. But no, the charging infrastructure here, he just does it at home. We do have a few locally made charger stations here, but they take hours, like 5-6 hours to get it.
Oh, okay.
They're not.
There's no Tesla. There's no superchargers there, then, right?
There's one near my house actually, but it's only like one parking lot, and it's free. By the way, like it's one parking lot for like 500 cars. It's only one of them.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, that's not it. That's not really practical. But there's like, I think the main bank here in Kuwait, they have like 9 superchargers. He told me this. I'm like, I didn't know. And I checked the website. I'm like, holy shit, there is a supercharger like 9 superchargers in the middle of the city here, which I didn't even know, actually from Tesla. So that was cool. But other than that, no, man, you got to charge at home. That's it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's where most people are doing it anyway, but.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
What's going on, Dominic
Webb? How you doing? Let's see. We got here wheelchair fitness with Chris. Is it a pretty good chance we will see 300 next week? Well, we'll get into that. Stay tuned. Do you ever see Tesla spitting? Okay, we'll get into these at the end. The main questions we'll get to the end of the video. Right now, let's just look at the preview. Let's first start off with you, Oracle. Let's go ahead and see what your numbers are.
You got it.
And let's do it.
All right. So, and for those of you guys who are from my channel, I will be putting out a video with all of these later on today as well, but I wanted to utilize Pejjy's live stream here to break them to everyone. So
let's go.
So I've got my ASP at 44,000. And
I reduced it.
So I reduced it to 44,000, and thank you, Pejjy. So Pejjy and I were having some discussions yesterday with Karav as well, looking at some numbers, and I miscalculated it. So, first quarter we had 44,600 was average selling price, and Now we're looking at, in this quarter here, the first quarter we had at least the first couple of weeks before they came down with pricing. They kind of trickled down pricing as the quarter went on. We started with that pricing in Q2, dropped a little bit, but hasn't changed much. But I think overall it's going to be a lower average selling price, 44,000. So I stuck with that. And I threw in regulatory credits of 420 million. So first quarter we had 521. I think it was 521. Let me see. Yeah, 521. So, 420 obviously for the ironic number. I decided to go with that, but I think we'll be still getting the credits from regulatory credits there. FSD, now they don't put in FSD. They don't separate that out in their numbers. So I know they can recognize more of that revenue. I have them recognizing 100 million of it. So that bumps it up a little bit. Okay. So my total revenue is $21.6 billion for automotive. Now, energy, I know Pejjy and I are on a very similar page here when it comes to energy. I think they're going to hit 2 billion this quarter. Looking at the growth trajectory that they're on for energy, looking at the mega packs being, on back order to 2025, I think 2 billion is a realistic number. And last quarter margins were 11%. Talking with Pejjy yesterday, 12% makes a lot of sense to go with margins this quarter, just a 1% bump. So that's what I stuck with for energy. And again, that is starting to impact the bottom line. So every quarter that goes by growing at that rate, we are going to see a larger impact with energy. So revenue totals, I've got $25.5 billion coming in. Now, here's the one that everybody hates me for. I've got vehicle margins at 17.5%. And I get a lot of I get a lot of backlash for this, but my personal feeling is Berlin and Austin still ramping. They haven't gotten to that good, clean place yet, which they should be getting there this quarter or next quarter. So I think this is going to be the absolute worst quarter we are probably ever going to see for vehicle margins for Tesla going forward. I don't think we're ever going to hit this number again. Pierre Ferragut says 15.6% himself.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I'm like 17.5% to me. I'm like, that to me is a very conservative, obviously very conservative number. But again, if this is where I think the very bottom is going to be, we go up from here. Expenses I left. Let me see. That's all there. So operating margins, I have them at 10.9%. Again, yes, very low. I understand that. But again, that is also going to be the lowest I think we ever see them. They will go up from here. With the Cybertruck production that just started over the weekend, we've got that coming up. Margins are going to continue to go up from here. We're going to have a Cybertruck ramp cost. But again, going to all the other costs that are coming in, we got to take into account the Cybertruck costs that they were clearly utilizing in this quarter as well, because they were trying to do the production.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. So yes, I know I'm low, but I think this is the lowest we will ever see. Gross profit.
To be honest,
Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry, I'm just saying that to be honest, I kind of hope this happens so I can buy more shares.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And same here. And my strategy is I will be buying more shares and I'll be buying the crap out of TSLY, because if Tesla dips, so will TSLY. And then I'm going to load the boat on that as well. So again, I'm not hoping that these things come out. This is just my numbers, how I see them playing out. Gross profit, I got 4.675 billion. I've got, let me see, go down to some of my more important stuff. So coming to my EPS, I have an EPS of 88 cents. And
88 cents. That's actually not bad.
No. So the consensus estimate right now Tesla, I haven't seen the Tesla compiled estimate yet, but the estimate right now is 81 cents and the whisper number is 89 cents. So I'm just under the whisper number, which to me made me feel good. And my gut feeling this whole entire time for the last month and a half, my gut feeling has been 88 cents. So when I ran my numbers, redid some calculations on it, it came to 88 cents. And I'm like, that's what my gut's been telling me. I'm going to stick with it. And so that's where I'm at, 88 cents.
Wow.
We'll see what happens.
And Wall Street is saying, I think you mentioned earlier before the live stream, 89 cents.
So Wall Street, the known Wall Street consensus number is 81 cents. The secret.
So it's a beat.
Right. So I'm a beat by about 10%. But then there's the whisper number that people are like, all right, well, our estimates are 81 cents, but we really think that Tesla could do 89 cents. So we're banking on an 89 cent, but if they come in at 81 cent, that's what the consensus is at. So if they come in at 88 cents, that's a missing the whisper number. So there might be a sell-off because they missed the whisper number.
Okay. 89 cents. Okay. I mean 88 cents.
Yeah.
If Wall Street is saying 81 cents or 85 cents, then I mean that's still a beat, even with all these numbers.
Right. Yep. So even with me being as stupidly conservative as I am, I still come in at a beat of Wall Street's EPS.
Wow. Not bad. Can you what was your revenue again? Let me see what your revenue and profit was, non-GAAP. So we said revenue.
Just
non-GAAP.
Just revenue?
Yeah, like total revenue.
Total revenue I have at 25.5 billion.
25.5 billion. That's actually not that bad. That's actually, I mean, I'm close to there. I'm actually at 25.76. So very close in revenue. Yeah. And for profits, is where the difference is. What was your profit? Non-profit? Non-GAAP?
Non-GAAP profits should be down here. I just added that line in. Income is 3 billion. 3 billion for non-GAAP.
3 billion. Okay, 3 billion. Mine is because I have a higher ASP. I have almost 3.3 billion.
Right. I think that's going to be the big difference in a lot of people's models is going to be average selling price and margins.
That's true. Okay, not bad. I mean, that's still a beat. 88 cents. I think. Okay, so if this happens, if let's say, Oracle Investments gets it spot on, and it's a beat, but the margins are lower, what do you think is going to happen to the stock price? Like on Thursday?
I think we'll sell off. And part of the reason I think we'll sell off is because the excitement with the Cybertruck production, while I don't think that Wall Street's actually going to be extremely excited about the Cybertruck because we don't have any specs on it. We don't have pricing details. We don't know how quickly it's going to ramp. The production news itself is going to cause the algorithms to probably gap us up tomorrow. I have no doubt. And we might run into earnings now on this news. If we run into earnings, maybe we do touch that $300 mark and then we get to earnings and then we bounce off and come down if we hit that 88 cent mark because we missed the whisper number of 89 cents. Totally possible.
That sounds, I mean, if it dips, I just bought 2 shares just because of Tesla doing ad share revenue. And I'm like, if that's what they're doing already, that means they're probably cash flowing and, Elon doesn't have to sell anymore. So it's like, it's a bullish sign for Tesla.
Right. Oh yeah.
But I do have the cash ready just in case if it goes to the low 200s, I'm just going to load up there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's so nice. where I buy every single day, and I know you put yourself on a little bit of a timeout from buying because you bought so much earlier in the year.
Jesus Christ, dude! It's so nice to see money in the account, like in the checking account. God, what was it like that 6 months ago? Just what I have, buy. What I have, buy.
Oh yeah, totally worth it though.
Yeah, it's 2030 and beyond, man. That's where it's at. But okay, Franco, interesting here. He's saying that the sell-off will get bought up. There's no way no one wouldn't want to buy below 250. Well, depends on the sentiment. Right now, we are in a little bit of a bull market, so maybe he may be right. But we know how the stock market is. When there's greed, it's going to be $1,000 by next week. If it's going back to a bear market or just crashing, it's going to go to $10-20 by next week. Oh, yeah. So really depends on what people feel literally after the Q2. Let's see.
Oh yeah, it's just so funny to understand how human behavior works. Going back to these prices last year when we were on the start of the downward slide and everybody was so mad. Why are we at these prices? Why are we crashing? We shouldn't be coming down. Nobody was buying as we were coming down because they just couldn't believe it. And now here we are and they're buying them as we're coming back up. And I'm like, but why weren't you buying at 140? Why weren't you buying at 100? You were just so mad and you wanted to sell. And now here we are and we're back up to 270 and you're like, all right, now I'm going to buy. And you're like, you want to buy at 270, but you didn't want to buy it at 100? What's wrong with you?
It's like that meme where it shows that, you know, there's two booths
The two
and
lines. Oh yeah.
one
Yep.
shows, yeah, under $4, nobody there. 270 line up is like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. And now, granted, I'm buying both, but I mean, I specifically hold cash to be able to buy heavy and get in that $100 line. Absolutely.
yeah. So let's see what happens in Q2. So you're saying 88 cents
Yep.
EPS. Again, that's still a beat with all the conservative number that you got. Sorry, is that all you wanted to share, or do you have, or do you got more?
That's all I got.
That's all you got. All right, so let me go ahead and share mine. Let's see. I'm a bit more of optimistic, but let's see. Okay, so we got the Tesla delivery vehicles. We got over 446. 466, my bad. I put the average selling price to 45,000 because I may have to. I'm actually gonna make a video after this one showing my absolute bearish case for it, but I'm still sticking to what I'm gonna be showing here.
So you think the prices? So you think the ASP is going up?
Well, and in the bear case, no.
Well,
but
in this case here, so you think
in this case, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's gonna go up. I'm thinking even although Austin and Berlin hasn't ramped up so, I guess you could say, but you know, by a lot to bring down to benefit from economy of scale, they would still benefit from it in, you know.
Oh yeah.
At least a bit of it, right? Because they're still hitting record numbers. I think when I was speaking to Khalid a couple of days ago, he said that Giga Shanghai, well, that's Shanghai, not Texas. That's right. Never mind. Because he said Shanghai, every 40 seconds, they're building a Model Y, which is absolutely crazy.
Dude, it's crazy over there.
For 40 seconds. I don't know. That's just insane. But I do think that Austin and Berlin will play a role by bringing costs down just a bit, which will help with their margins. But they did increase SNX, the prices the most out of all the fleet.
True.
And they sold twice as much as Q1. So that's why I'm saying maybe because of that, we can see a higher average selling price to 45,000.
But when would they come? Because I know they came down on the prices of the S and X significantly. Was that end of Q1 or beginning of Q2?
So it was Q1. It was all in Q1. In Q2 is where they, just the beginning of Q2 is where they increased it massively, like by about 4 or 5.
I missed the timing on that one. Okay.
Yeah. So that's all because of those two, and because they sold about double the amount compared to Q1. I mean, I would say that, you know, margins would go up a little bit at least, like $400 to 45,000. So that's what I put here for the Q2 for average selling price. Then I have credits here at like 450 million. We've got here services almost reaching 2 billion. Services and other, the profits around 180 million. Leasing, I mean that's going down because of, you know, the environment that we're in. 550, and then profits 226. That would give us a total vehicle revenue excluding all these, just the vehicles alone, is just almost reaching 21,000. And I'm saying 18.5% in vehicle gross margins. So I'm going up a bit by 2%. Right.
And that makes sense if your ASP went up and you think the costs for economies of scale come down. Totally makes sense.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. And then we get about total vehicle profits of almost 3.9 billion, energy 1.8. I am being a little conservative here, but I think you're right. I think 2 billion is more of the right number that we're going to see. I think energy is going to surprise us, all of us. It's going to be okay, vehicles didn't do that well, or maybe they did okay, they beat, but they're still, you know, lingering. But then energy, it's like, whoa, you know, energy was like a big, you know, surprise bomb. I think that's what's going to happen with energy because it's just one of those.
Oh yeah, I originally had 1.8 billion myself, but I was like, you know what? I think they've got a chance at 2, and I figure that's basically a tenth of what they're bringing in for vehicle revenue. So if it's 1/10 of it right now, and it's just going to continue growing faster, I'm interested to see when that is going to take over vehicle revenue.
Yeah, and how funny would it be if they do 1.9 like in between?
Yeah,
that'd be hilarious. And then profits here, I think I have it at 12%. Yes, I have it at 12% here, which is 216, which is same as yours in terms of percentage wise.
Yeah.
Operating cost almost 1.9 billion, taxes 200, small stuff. My total revenue would be just, you know, quarter of a million more than yours to 20,
Okay, yep.
25.76. And then income from operation is really not that much important. Operating margin 11.9%. So
you're a percent higher than I am. Okay.
I'm saying higher. I'm saying because of the SNX and all these things happening, could be higher. Could be higher. Who knows? Let's see. And then I have gap here 2.8, and then non-gap, which is the most important part. It's about 3.3, just almost reaching 3.3 billion. And then I'm saying non-gap EPS of 94.
Nice.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. And then we have the Tesla stock price. If it's 80 PE, I think that's where it is right now.
Yeah.
285. I mean, it could go either way. It could it could shock everybody. It could go up to 100. We could, okay, maybe not that high, but we can probably see a 90 PE.
See, and I know tracking the charts, like the next two, there's 3 stops above us that are going to be hard to break. 300, and with the Cybertruck news, maybe we end up pushing up to 300 before earnings. 308 after that could be a temporary pause, and then that 314 level, we just could not break it at all last year. It bounced off hard 3 times last year. So
314.
So I think if we end up getting a 94-cent non-gap EPS, we could be testing that level. I think if we get $1, some people I know have been calling $1. If we get a full dollar EPS, I think we break that 314. I think it's possible.
Yeah. So what 314 would be $1 trillion. That's what it is. Near $1 trillion. So that's where it's bouncing around.
Right.
They're saying that if the stock's going to be worth $1 trillion, should it be $1 trillion? Should it not be $1 trillion? So that's where the game is at.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it could go either way. Could go, well, maybe not as high as that, but definitely a 300. We would need an 85 PE with a beat with 94 EPS. But let's say yours was what, 88 cents? Let me just go ahead and change that. 88 cents. I don't think it changes here. No, it goes based on different formula. But nonetheless, what's the lowest PE?
Hold on, I could do it in mine. Let me see.
You could do it in yours? All right, let's go ahead and share yours.
Let me do.
All right, there we go. Let's see.
Yep, 88. That would put us at 299. Right under the 300 mark.
299. Nice. So hold on, let me take a look at my 89. Yeah, there we go. So wait, let's just stick on yours for a while, since yours is like the more conservative. So let's say they do this number, but everyone turns bearish. How low do you think the PE will go?
Well, seeing as we're about 80 right now, let's say it drops to 65, 228.
Wow.
Even if we drop 10 in a PE, we're still at 246. That's right around that 250 mark that, people don't think we're going to drop below. And then, for me, I'm like, the things I look at too with the stock price itself are, this is all great fundamental stuff. So this is stuff when you're looking as a long-term investor, as most of us are, pay attention to that. Don't pay attention to where the stock's going to move in the near term. But in the near term, just to keep your emotions in check, we have a week after earnings is the FOMC meeting where they're probably going to be raising rates, despite the fact that we see inflation coming down. They're probably going to raise rates. That's going to scare the market. We also have big tech earnings giving out their second half of the year guidance, which most of them are looking at a pullback when it comes to spending. So they might be forecasting for lower than expected guidance. Their guidance might not be meeting expectations. We could see a bit of a sell-off going on when it comes to big tech. Tesla would be included in that. So the Tesla specific stuff could be good, but we might end up getting such a strong macro negative sentiment going for the next 6 months. It could pull back anyway, because then we've got PCE coming in. We've got CPI and PPI for August and September before we get the next FOMC meeting. And August is typically a slower month in the stock market. A lot of people are on vacations. Volume is a bit lower. So if you do get a boost, usually it's a short pop and then it sells off quickly right there afterwards. So again, I'm bullish on Tesla long term. I just think in the near term, with numbers that are showing compression when it comes to Tesla, just strictly because of pricing in the full economy and the macro, could end up causing a pullback, and then the macro itself could pull us back some more. Not to say I hope it happens, but that's what I'm preparing myself for emotionally, just in case that does happen.
Yeah. And the fact that if they're, I mean, is it a fact that they're going to increase rates? I really
It's not
hope
a
they
it's
don't
not
do
a
it.
fact, but when Jerome Powell came out last time, he said that they are still anticipating raising rates 2 more times. Had the Freudian slip saying we're going to skip this time, which leads me to believe they're going to be raising in July. And they still keep on reiterating that there's at least 2, if not more, Feds saying that they really need to be raising interest rates more for the rest of this year. So we
But
might
why
end up
though?
seeing rates going up now, rates going up in September, and then the official pause in September. I don't know.
Jeez. I mean, it's already at 3% inflation. I get it. Okay, don't cut. If you cut, inflation is going to skyrocket up because demand is there. But why are you going to increase rates though? Like, it doesn't
So
make sense to me.
the problem is when you look at core. So while the headline number, and this is where the disconnect is, when you look at the headline number, that's coming down where it needs to be. But the core inflation is still sticky. They did beat year over year number of 5%, and they came in at 4.8%. That's still too high. And they still want to continue pushing that down. The big piece of it's the housing market. And because the housing market is still as hot as it is, they need to continue forcing that down. And unfortunately, one way to do that is keeping rates high, raising rates even more, and pushing businesses to go under. And once that happens, people start losing their jobs. And we've already seen Airbnb coming out, and they've lost their 50% miss on revenue. So
Yeah.
with all of that, there's a lot of people out there who bought real estate for that purpose. They're not bringing it in. They're going to sell those houses. We're going to see a lot more supply coming into the housing market. That in turn is going to bring the pricing down of houses. So a lot of supply is coming back for a lot of different reasons. And then people are going to lose jobs because a company's going out of business. There's a lot of dominoes that are starting to fall, and the Fed needs to continue forcing those dominoes to fall to get us to where they want us to be.
Yeah, man, they got to be really careful with this because they're playing with fire a little bit. I mean, it's something, if they, I mean, talk about timing the market. These guys are like doing that to next levels. If they're going to time it so perfectly, if you don't want to go into a recession.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and I think that's the problem that we're running into is they're trying to give us this soft landing without a recession. I don't think they're going to be able to avoid it. And if we don't get a recession, we'll still get an earnings recession, because then in October here in the US, all the student loans that had been paused, people now have to start paying on their student loans again. So that's going to be less money that's going to be available to make purchases with, to buy stocks with, all sorts of stuff. So there's going to be a lot less money out there come the end of this year. And I know that a lot of the companies understand this, and that's going to be in their guidance when they start talking about it.
That's just I don't know that. I'm not in favor of this interest rates. I mean, it's funny because I'm traveling back in about 10 days time, you could say.
Nice.
So I'm excited. So I've been looking for Airbnbs here and there to go on vacations. Man, they're in Toronto.
Yeah.
Usually, if you want to book something, you would have to book it like 3 months in advance. Right now, I'm like, look at all these nice places.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like, they're not, it's scary. It's scary. People are not spending unnecessarily. And I guess going on vacation or going just an hour north, they're not spending it.
No, one thing that that was recognized when it comes to Airbnbs is, thinking about, like when we get to fads, we went through the AI fad. We're kind of in it right now with pushing stocks maybe higher than they should be at the moment. We saw that with EVs over COVID. When it comes to Airbnb, that was, I don't want to say it was a fad, but like everybody's all about, oh, Airbnbs are so much better. You get your own little place. You don't have to worry about the hotel and all of that stuff. So then Airbnb, because the demand was so high, all the Airbnb owners went up on their prices. And now people are like, well, why would I want to spend more money at an Airbnb where I have to clean up after myself and have the owner of this place charging me extra fees afterwards for all sorts of random stuff, where I could just go stay at a hotel, have my room taken care of for me, and no extra fees?
Yeah,
so
that's very true.
That whole thing kind of came to a head, and that's been recognized. So there's going to be a huge flip in that market and a rebalancing going on. So I think that's part of why we see so many available right now.
Yeah, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So those who are tuning in, I'm at 94 cents. Oracle is at 88 cents.
Yes.
Let's see what's going to happen on Wednesday. By the way, we're going on Oracle's channel. I'll be there too, doing the live session. First time doing it too. So it's going to be very exciting.
It's going to be a great time.
gonna be an awesome time. I'm actually looking very forward to it. It's gonna be awesome. Like it's gonna be what, 2-3 hours? Oh, it's gonna be so cool.
Yeah, it'd be about yeah, we're gonna start about a half an hour before market close. So we'll have a nice discussion. We'll see how the stock is trading into end of the session. And then usually at 4:05, Tesla will release earnings. We'll discuss it then. And then we'll just kind of chit chat for an hour until the earnings call.
Yeah, that's gonna be so much fun. I'm really looking forward to it. So Oracle, every time when you come on this channel, when we do a live stream on this channel, we have to talk about this.
Oh yes.
We have to talk about this. So where do you think we are?
Man, it's so hard because like last year we saw obviously the anxiety, denial, panic. We saw that legitimate going on. So this here is hard to determine based upon what I see coming for the rest of this year. We could be at that disbelief rally point right now, but I don't know if that disbelief rally point is going to lead us higher, or if it's actually going to be a huge, massive fake out with a bigger pullback leading to more complacency, anxiety, denial, and panic. I think it's totally possible. Because when Adam and I were discussing, when you look back at every time the Fed is raising interest rates, the housing market, we saw basically all of this going on. And then the Fed paused with their interest rates. And when they paused, we ended up seeing the market rallying to all-time highs. Now we've seen a lot of 52-week highs coming out of the S&P, and they're 7% away from hitting all-time highs right now. So the pause came, we ran up to all-time highs, then something happened, and that was where the dominoes started to fall, the economy started to collapse. Then partway into that collapse, we saw the Fed pivot because they needed to make a reaction to be able to alter what was going on in the economy. Then we saw that massive crash come afterwards for the housing market. I am believing that is what we are going to be seeing coming up again. So I think, and again, before there was a crash, the pause that ran us up into all-time highs, and then a crash and pivot even further, and then we slowly climbed out of it. So
you're saying, so in your opinion, you think we're over the anxiety, the denial, the panic, the
I think we're into the blue and the disbelief right now. So this is like the suckers rally. And I think that's where we're at right now, rallying up. And while I know typically after that suckers rally, we cool off and then go back up again from there, I think we have another round of that big crash coming. I do.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that crash, to be honest. So
I am absolutely ready for it. I am ready to load up on TSLY, get in a whole bunch of dividends from that along the way. And then once we hit that bottom, I am going to be dumping everything I possibly can into Tesla, TSLL. It's going to be
awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and I know a lot of people hate me for saying it. I'm ready for it. And I've been trying to educate people on, hey, if you want to just ride it out, that's cool too. Do whatever you want to do, not financial advice. But if you're looking for opportunities to add, I could be 100% totally wrong on this, but I am ready just in case we get that opportunity, and I'm going to buy the crap out of it to get myself as many shares as I can.
And that's Tesla.
Yes. Oh, Tesla. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Tesla, TSLY, TSLL, all three of those are going to be my game of swinging back and forth and way to get dividends for it.
There we go. And like the thing is, like Q2 delivery showed us that Tesla, even with all these FUD and bad news coming out and price cuts, all these things, Tesla can beat expectations. So, and especially with deliveries, like dude, what was there? I mean, I was watching your live stream after because I was sleeping. When 466,000 came out, I saw your reaction. You were like, oh, you were like, bro. My reaction was something similar too. I'm just like, what the 460? Like, who could have predicted that? Nobody. Yeah. So this is what Tesla does, and no doubt Q3, Q4, and going on, keep going, 2025, 2026, 2027. They're going to continue doing that. Now, the question is, can they do it with their earnings? And we're going to find out in 3 days' time.
Yes. And you're right. That's the big one is sure, they can deliver these cars, but as Elon alluded to at the beginning of the year, they've run the math on it. They're willing to run their vehicles at 0% margins to get as many on the road as possible. Do they have to do that or not? And that's the question, is how much are they scraping off of margins to be able to get out as many vehicles as they possibly can?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely true. So this chart, where do I think we are? I have to agree with you, man. I think we are in that little disbelief area. Either we're going to go down or go up. But looking at the market in general, it's very optimistic.
It is.
You know? Like I'm seeing like...
It's a lot, very optimistic. I'm seeing more oddball FUD pieces coming out recently than we haven't really seen before. But other than that, like there's just a lot of bullish stuff. It's a good sentiment, but we are in extreme greed territory. So it's like, how much higher are we going to push before we get a pullback? I mean, the whole market, everything is due for that pullback, at least a short temporary one just for a cool off, and then move forward. So whether that happens now, whether that's a bigger pullback, maybe we do just get a short pullback in August and then continue pushing in September. Maybe that's what happens. Yeah.
Or maybe something breaks in September and then we get that, you know, where's that disbelief? This one, maybe we'll get this one, or actually we may be here.
Well, actually, if you back up, so looking at the disbelief on the right, we might be heading into the disbelief on the left. If the way I'm looking at it is going to play out, we could be probably where we are right now is optimism on the left-hand side going into what is the next massive crash coming up. So we might be at that optimism level right now where people are like optimistic. Hey, this is what's going to go on. So maybe we do get a couple of small pullbacks, run up, and then all of a sudden we hit that euphoria. So we may currently be in the next 6 to 12 month range on that scale going up there. That might be where we're at.
Maybe. And the thing is, like, it's hard. You can't really, because this is like the general market. You got to do one for Tesla and you got to do one for the general. It's like, it's different. It's a different breed. So you have to like think, okay, for Tesla, it could be disbelief, but for the entire market, it could be optimism.
Well, if you're looking at Tesla itself, I think we're at thrill. And I say we're at thrill because if you're looking from Elon's standpoint, I will buy more on margin, got to tell everyone to buy. And Elon coming out with his tweet recently saying, be careful with margin. So I'm wondering if going with Elon's speak, we might be at that thrill point right now because he's understanding how the macro works. And we might be at thrill. We hit euphoria this week with Cybertruck and maybe earnings. And then August, we started that sell-off and then slowly creep down after that.
Yeah. And the good thing is, if it does go down, I don't think we're going to go in the... I know you keep saying that there's a gap to be filled in the 114, but I don't know. It's hard to see Tesla dipping down that low at this point in time. I don't know.
You say it, but we all said that when we were at 314 last time, and nobody thought we were going to hit 244, and then we ended up hitting 140, and then we ended up winning 100. So, I mean, I couldn't believe it either. But like anybody who does not remember last year is clearly just blocking it out of their memory intentionally because it was so painful.
I was loving every minute of it. I was like,
oh yeah, I
go all in, man. That's all.
Yep, I had my levels. I was buying with big chunks at every one of my levels, and it just kept on dropping and kept on dropping and kept on dropping. But I kept on sticking to my game, and I ended up lowering my cost basis by $45. So that was exciting.
Yeah. So let's see what happens in this Q2. Now, I'm curious to know your thoughts on this, Tim. Cybertruck, first production ever, happened just yesterday.
Yep.
What's your thoughts, man? Curious to know.
So I'm super excited. When Elon announced it last year that they're going to start production this summer, I called July is when they were going to see the first truck coming off the line. So, I mean,
you got it.
Elon said summer, I said July. I was right on. But the next question, which Wall Street is going to be asking, is, well, that's cool that they're producing it, but what's the pricing? What are the specs on this thing? What are we actually looking at for a ramp pace? Because Elon already told us that's going to be very slow to start because it's a difficult vehicle to produce. So maybe we get to earnings on Wednesday and he's like, hey, we've already produced 10 or 15 of them. So maybe if we get to that point, that's cool. So at least maybe then we can kind of be like, all right, well, if they've produced 20 in 4 days, we can kind of mathematically figure out maybe they're at like a ramp rate of like 75 a week. So, we'll can do some math on that. Maybe they're at 50 a week or something, but that's what Wall Street's going to be looking at. So yes, the excitement's going to be there, but what else is going on? When are we going to start seeing deliveries for this? When is the delivery event? Is that going to come on 9/6 like Alexandra thinks? Because that's the opposite of 69. Those really my questions. And I think that's what Wall Street's going to be asking as well. So I'm super excited about it. I can't wait because 1.399 million more and I get to finally get mine. So I'll see mine sometime in 2026 maybe. But yeah, and then what trims are we going to have? Yeah, exactly. No pricing. So I don't know if they're going to do pricing before the delivery event. If they're going to do a delivery event like the semi-truck where there's really no discussion of that, and maybe it's after the delivery event. So how
much do you think is gonna be pricing?
The dual motor, I'm pretty sure it'll be 69,000. That makes the most sense. 69,000 for the dual motor. People can take advantage of the EV tax credit, and then I think they're going to do a dual, a quad, and a plaid. I've heard the tri motor. I don't know if they're actually going to make one. And I think the dual motor is 69. The quad motor is probably going to be 89, but I think they're going to be working on that to try and get it down to under 80,000. So we might see price cuts after that to be 59 and 79. So they both qualify. And then the plaid will probably end up being 99 grand and just won't qualify.
Wow. So you're saying it's going to, the starting price will be in the high 60s, 69,000.
Yeah. For the dual motor. Most likely.
Imagine those who like pre-ordered it and they thought it's gonna cost them 40,000, and now they gotta pay like almost double that. It's gonna be like,
yeah. Well, that was for the
mainstream
motor too, but
yeah. But and think about that. I mean, and obviously you're gonna have normal people canceling. That's normal.
Right.
I'm not gonna pay like say 70,000 for that or 80,000 when I was promised 40,000, and watch the mainstream media make the biggest fuss out of it. To the point that it's called like Cybertruck is dead. No one is gonna come buy it. And the next thing you know, you see like all-time deliveries and all-time production, and it's just like, wait, what?
Oh yeah. and then thinking about the pricing, that's right in line with the Rivian. So it's right in line. It makes sense to be there. And when you're looking at the people canceling, there's a lot of people who also have like 10 reservations. Maybe they see the pricing and they're like, you know what, maybe I'm not going to take all 10, or maybe they will, and then they'll sell it to somebody else. Who knows? So we may see some cancellations once we get the pricing. It's probably just natural to see that happen. It is what it is. But then my question is, and I'll ask you, which trim do you think that they're going to prioritize first?
Oh, the most expensive one, that's for sure.
Okay.
the one with the most full option, they're going to say, okay, this guy wants this, and that. It's going to most profit, the most, value. They're going to go with that first. And then it's going to go down the line like that. 100%. I think that's what they did with the X. With the Model X, I think back then the highest option it was, I don't know if it was called Ludicrous or something like that. I think that was the second generation. But the first generation, it was like whoever had the most option, they're gonna get it first, which makes sense. Yeah, and they will prioritize those who have the full self-driving package on it, 100%.
Yep. And it's funny because that's how they've basically done it in the past. That's how they've always done it. My thoughts initially going into this year with the Cybertruck, knowing the economy and where we were headed, I thought maybe they were going to start with a lower trim first, just to try and get more units out there. But then I thought about it. They're selling enough of the lower trim, of all the trims for all the other platforms to everybody anyway. So if they're going to be coming out with it, the amount of reservations that are out there, the first people they're going to be delivering to are the ones who are going to pay whatever, and they want the top-notch model anyway. Yeah. So they might as well do that. Bring in the most profits they possibly can right off the bat. Makes the most sense. They'll sell plaids to people. So I think that's what we're going to end up seeing for sure is like you said, top ends to everybody who's going to be coming out. You'll see plaid models going out there. You're going to see plaid with FSD for sure. They'll recognize as much revenue from the Cybertruck that they possibly can this year.
Yeah. And if we want to link that to the stock price with Cybertruck release, unlike to gap down too much, even if we miss earnings. So,
I mean,
let's see. Yeah.
Yeah,
What are your
it
thoughts?
is. And again, the Cybertruck release itself is just the production. And while it is super exciting. And for those of us who are huge Tesla fans, obviously we know the implications of what this means for the future. But when you look at it through Wall Street's eyes, we have no pricing. We don't have any ramp pace. We don't know what this actually is going to mean. Knowing that it's now produced, it's going to be awesome because we'll most likely actually see some Cybertruck revenue hitting the bottom line in Q3 earnings, which is pretty awesome. So we'll see that. And then as it ramps going into Q4, that'll make a larger impact. But, at this point here, we need to know, Wall Street needs to know more numbers before we're going to get excited about it. And if we don't get those numbers until the actual delivery event, a gap down could be likely just because we don't have any more information on the Cybertruck. And just because they produced one, they can look back at the Semi and say the same thing. They're like, yeah, that's awesome. You delivered semis, and now where are we at with it? We're not doing any more production until the end of 2024. So that doesn't mean anything to me. Plus, we still have no pricing or specs for the Semi. So
yeah. Oh yeah, the Semi. They did start. Now they've kind of like stopped it to check some.
Right.
Let's see. That's okay. I really hope they don't do that to Cybertruck. I mean, that's
no, and I highly doubt that's going to happen to the Cybertruck. But if they don't give us any pricing until the delivery event, let's say that's not going to happen until September, we have a whole month of unknowns when it comes to the Cybertruck. So they're not going to price it in.
They haven't announced a delivery date yet. We're just going on speculation based on September 9th because of Alexandria. Yeah, 69.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
I know.
So
I know.
No official dates. We just know that they produced one officially. That's all we know. That's all we got.
Okay, that's good. I know Farzad is saying 28th of September. That was his thought. But it's cool to see that now people are thinking that September could be the day of delivery. Who do you think is gonna be the first to take delivery? The first person to get the Cybertruck?
I'm guessing it's going to be obviously Tesla execs and people who work for Tesla will get the first ones as per usual. But for outside of Tesla, I would imagine they're going to go right with reservation numbers. So whoever reserved first is going to be getting it first. I know one of my subscribers, he's like in the top 20 or 30,000. So he'll get it. He might even get it this year or early next year.
Wow.
But yeah, okay. I would imagine they'll go first in line. But I think it's also going to come down to, hey, you all have your reservations. Here's your place in line. What trim you're going to go with, because we're going to be prioritizing the Plaid model. So yeah, maybe you were, number 28 in line, but if you're only going to get the dual motor, you're going to have to wait because we're not producing that one yet. Sure. A lot of questions still to be answered on.
A lot of questions. Yeah, it's just a lot of excitement. Oh, yeah. Now let's go back to this question. Is it a pretty good chance we will see 300 by next week? So none of us here are day traders. We are long-term investors. And obviously nothing here is financial advice. So take everything with a grain of salt and always do your DD. But I'm at 94 cents EPS. Oracle is at 88 cents. Consensus is around 81 cents. And it goes up to 85 cents. So it's a beat for both of us. If it is a beat, we could probably see 300 next week. However, though, in my margins, operating margin, it's at 11.9%, which is, if they show that, then we could probably surpass 300. But Oracle is saying just below 11%, so even less than quarter one. So that could even mean that the stock price may have a bit of a jump, but may not go too high, or even it could go the other way down. Yes, they beat earnings, but operating margin is lower, and that's not a good sign. So really, it's anyone's guess in the short term. 300 could happen if this bull market continues to rally, and we did beat earnings. High possibility, but we got to see what operating margins are. So that's my take on it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it with the Cybertruck news and where we're at right now with the stock price, we might push 300 going into earnings. We might test that $300 level going into earnings, and then earnings will determine whether we break it or fall down.
Yeah. I think that seems to be more likely, because what's the stock now, like 285? So only $15 away.
281,
281, $19 away. So it's like so close. And the excitement of the Cybertruck and all that, definitely. I think you're on the money here. Definitely on the money. But here's the short-term stuff, man. I think we gotta enlighten some of the viewers that, investing into Tesla is not a 1 year, 2 year thing. It's a end of 2030 and a little bit beyond that kind of thing. So let's give them our stock price prediction for 2030. I know I watched your Tesla Air video. I think it was by 2030. I think you had like a stock price of like 3,000. I don't know. You take it away here, man. What do you think 2030 stock price would be?
Hold on. Let me see. Oh, where did all my price targets go? Oh, boogers. Let me see. So I have 2030, 2277.
22. Yeah. So 27. So even if the Tesla stock goes down the short term in 2 years, which I don't think it would, but if it does, everyone's predicting by 2030 at least the stock will be $1,000. Oracle is saying 2200. I'm saying in my bearish case 1200, but 3000. I mean, if you add the FSD, if you add the robo-taxis, if you add the licensing, if you add all these things up, I mean, 3,000 becomes conservative. You guys got to look at the long-term view, my friend. Anyways, not financial advice, but yeah.
No. but seriously, I mean, and you can make some great money because of the volatility of Tesla. Swing traders do very well. My dad does well. I know many of my subscribers do very well when it comes to swing trading. Not the game I want to play. The way I do it is I'll add to my TSLY because I can get the dividends. If we're at the bottom, I'll buy TSLL because that moves 1.5 times what Tesla does. So when it comes up, I can make some profits a little bit faster. But when you're playing the long game, that's where I'm at. My mentality is I'm going to be holding till at least 2030, but I monitor all the time just in case something massive goes one direction or the other. So I'm paying attention to then. And then at 2030 is kind of going to be that reassessment phase at this point, which is where's Optimus at? Because if Optimus is going to be what Elon thinks it's going to be, then selling in 2030 makes absolutely no sense either, because that's just going to be the start of the next massive push. That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I have the stock doing basically from where we're at right now, a 10x in 8 years.
Which is absolutely insane.
If you're not, and I have conservative numbers because mine has energy not growing as much as a lot of other people think. I don't even have Optimus factored into it. FSD I have in there at a very minimal level, just because we don't have regulatory approval. It hasn't been solved yet. I didn't even put it in there, and I'm still at a 10x in 8 years.
You know what's crazy? I don't know if you watched that video with Alexandria. Shout out to her, by the way. Awesome.
Alexandria's awesome woman. Love her.
She's awesome. Yeah. But she said, I think she was with Robert, what's his name? Herbert. Yeah. She had a crazy prediction, and she mentioned it when we were doing live stream as well. She's saying that Tesla by 2030 could be 40 to 50x what it is like in the 270s mark, which would be north of 11,000 per share.
And here's the crazy part. When people look at mine, and I've got to add it to mine because I like how you have it on yours, is what's the actual market cap of the stock. So looking at mine, I'm at about a $10 trillion market cap come 2031. That's pretty high. I mean, obviously, Apple is the first one ever hit 3 trillion, and it just happened recently. So, hitting more than tripling that in the next 8 years seems completely astronomical.
Bonkers. Yeah.
But when you look at Alexandra and the knowledge she has when it comes to the market, she knows all of this. She understands how the market works. So for her to be able to say a 40 to 50x in that time frame means that she's run the math. She knows what she's talking about. It's possible.
Yeah, and when she said that, my mind was just like melting. I'm like that's gonna be worth what? 11,000 per share. That's a 30 to 35 trillion market cap. That's gonna be I don't know. I can't wrap my head around that. But that would be insane. But let's not get carried away. We can go step by step.
Yes.
Okay. What we have to figure out next to see Tesla stock becoming the world's most valued company, in my opinion, is when they solve full self-driving. Yeah. And just within their own internal company in Tesla. Nothing to do with any other or licensing or anything like that. Just solve it. Oh, it's solved. It's approved. It's regulated, approved. That means all the Tesla vehicles on the road globally that are allowed to use it in their country with a snap of a finger or just one update, that's it.
Yep.
You'll have millions of vehicles with full self-driving enabled, and that's going to be a day where you see Tesla stock probably the biggest jump in history. That's just my opinion, but that's what I think. Yeah, that's what I think. That's just, I mean, it's a no-brainer. When I see that, and when I see how Tesla is playing this game of chess, I mean, they're already winning. I mean, when you get other automakers coming to you begging for the superchargers,
FSD is next. They're going to come begging for.
Yeah. So like at this point, they won the race. Just like the guy that I spoke to 2 days ago, Khaled. Shout out to him, by the way, if he's watching or not. They've already won the race. You know what he said? He said Mercedes, they died 2 years ago. This is what he's saying. He also said that Toyota is a walking zombie.
Yeah. I know
the way he said it.
I know a few people who work for Toyota, and they are saying the same exact thing. And they're in there and they see what's going on. And it's, and looking at where we're going, and I totally agree with you on the FSD thing. And you look at between the Cybertruck coming out, that's going to be a massive push in the market. The Model 2 is what's going to take them from just an automotive manufacturer standpoint. The Model 2 will take them to become the best selling automotive maker in the world. So I think that'll end up happening. And my prediction is based upon Mexico ramping, India coming online, and a third factory producing this Model 2. I think 2027 or 2028 is going to be the year that vehicle becomes the best-selling vehicle of all time in 1 year. And I think it's going to overtake the Model Y. Obviously, it's going to hit it this year. I think that Model 2 is going to overtake it in 2027 or 2028. So we'll have that coming out. Then at that point, with all of their vehicles cumulatively, they're going to be the best-selling automotive maker in the world at that point. But again,
with high margins.
But that's just the EV side of things. That doesn't include FSD. That doesn't include energy. That doesn't include Optimus or anything else they come up with. That doesn't include if they're going to have an app store in their vehicles to be able to recognize more revenue there as well. And that's going to play perfectly with the robotaxis. You have a fully autonomous vehicle. Your kids are going to be bored in the back seat. Let's buy them an app so they can play with it in the back seat. Microtransactions up the wazoo coming in. I mean, think about how much money Apple makes from it. Now you've got it in your vehicle. There's so many revenue streams that Tesla is working on, and FSD, like you said, while the vehicles are going to be awesome from an automotive standpoint, FSD is going to put them into that software realm. That is going to be the next level for them. And then that's the next huge jump.
Yeah, because if you look right now, all the institutional investors, all the Wall Street guys who have the money to move the stock, like big time, they only look at the vehicle side right now. Like, they're not, like, they're blinded when it's coming to energy, when it's coming to all these things. They're blinded. Well, they're not paying attention to it because it's not taking, a big chunk of the revenues at the moment. But energy slowly is. And again, this Q2 energy, if we see another massive fold, which most likely we're going to see a big jump as well, I think institutional investors, they're going to look at it and they go like, we probably have to increase the energy here. And that's going to increase our stock price as well. And wait until they recognize full self-driving. Once they recognize all the other things that Tesla has, it's just going to be absolutely insane. Sheesh.
Yeah. One of the things that I learned over the last year is, like when we saw the massive disconnect in the stock selling off last year, it's like, why don't we not see the pricing that we think we should see when it comes to Tesla stock? And it's because the institutional people who buy the stock are the ones who move it the most. And we have a lot more institutional money coming in. If anybody saw the tweets that were out recently, a lot of institutional money has been coming in. There's still trillions on the sidelines, but more and more institutional money is coming into the stock itself. When that ends up happening, you push the stock up clean, but the analysts there only look out 6 to 12 months. And they're going to look out and they're going to say, well, what revenue generation does Tesla have in 12 months? FSD is not there. Energy is minimal. Nothing with Optimus, nothing with the Cybertruck, nothing with the Model 2. So all of the things that we as retail investors see as the potential for the future are not there yet. So that's why buying at these prices, even though I think we do see a pullback, I still think buying at 281 is an awesome buy. Because when you start having, hey, what's going on, kitty? When you start seeing Wall Street pricing in all of these actual revenue generating sources, then you're going to see the stock price going to the levels that we believe that it should be at. So Wall Street's just lagging with that because they only look out 12 months. And that's the reason.
Yep.
So when you get frustrated, just understand. And this is why I love Gary Black, because Gary Black speaks Wall Street and he kind of puts them together. But that's it. You know, when you start looking at it through Wall Street's eyes, you really start to understand why the stock moves the way it moves. And then when they do know that there's the euphoria coming in from excitement, the manipulators are going to take advantage of that. Oh, retail is going to get excited. Let's push it up there, make them all want to buy in and get FOMO. They buy it in there, and then they pull the rug out from underneath us to take our money. And that's how the manipulators
test the
work.
stock, and then we buy the tip, and then we buy the dip, just like CJ said it. Right?
You got it, CJ. Absolutely. That is what we do. Let the bears tank it. I love the bears because the bears are going to bring the price down to much better levels for me to buy.
Oh my God, I just cannot wait. I just cannot wait.
So next time you see a Tesla bear, hug them. Hug that big fuzzy bear because they brought the price down to awesome levels for us to buy at.
Yeah, they're looking for revenge right now because they're being squeezed the heck out of them right now.
Oh yeah, they are.
Oh God, Tesla. What's CJ again? Tesla is the best dollar cost average stock. Well,
absolutely.
Yeah, because we're biased. Obviously, we're gonna say that. But I'm sure there's other stocks out there that we don't know yet.
There's a lot. I mean, honestly, depending on your knowledge of the market, just putting it into DCA into an S&P fund is going to be great long term. You'll do perfectly fine. The only thing with Tesla stock is, while I do think it'll get paid dividends in the long term, eventually you get to a point where like, all right, well, how do I recognize all of these gains? You're going to have to sell and take a loss, or sell and you're going to have to pay taxes on it unless you maybe got it in an IRA. There's a lot of other options that people go with when it comes to doing that. But if you're looking for something with cash flow generation, if Tesla does not end up paying dividends in the long term, which again, I think they will, but looking at like the S&P, you're going to get dividends over time. Eventually you have enough money in there and your dividends can pay for your bills on a monthly basis. It's easy. Yeah.
Oracle, I have a question.
Yeah.
It's not related to Tesla, but it's under Elon Musk. So I think I'm very curious to know your thought on this. Would you invest if Twitter goes on the stock market?
Yes.
Would you invest in SpaceX if it goes in the stock market?
Oh, absolutely.
Would you invest in Neuralink if it goes on the stock market?
That one I probably would, but I'm not as hardcore jonesing on that one.
Okay. How about the Boring Company?
I feel the same about the Boring Company as I do with Neuralink. Not a company that I would probably invest in. But I know Rob Maurer was working on it, and I don't know if he still has it, but if there was an Elon ETF, I would do it. I would buy the Elon ETF because, again, for privately traded companies that we can't get into, if I could get a piece of that through an ETF, I'd be all over it.
That's what I thought. That's what I think too. If they could have an Elon ETF with all Elon companies only, but again, you only have one company, which is Tesla. And an important one. I think after eventually, if SpaceX goes on the stock market, which I do think eventually it will, because Elon Musk said, and I do think the day that it does IPO is going to be the biggest IPO in history. There's no question for that.
So now,
in my opinion,
do you think? Well, because I know Starlink, they may break Starlink off separately. So do you think they're going to IPO Starlink and then SpaceX separately?
I really don't know. It's hard. It's really hard. Either way, if it's Starlink or SpaceX, look, the fact that you can have internet around the world at high speed is just a value. Yeah. I mean, screw my internet, my hometown internet, man. Let's get Starlink. You can't control me. You can't.
I know. And think about the knowledge and access to information that Starlink is bringing to places in the world that never had it before. Like that's the game changer that people miss because they're so busy looking at dollars. It's like, Brazil was a big one. They're going into so many places that don't have access to information, and they can now provide them with that. Yeah,
exactly. The fact that you can be in Antarctica, you won't have food, you won't have shelter, but you have internet. Same thing in Sahara Desert.
If you've got a 3D printer, you just download an Apple and then print it, and you're good.
That's it.
I don't think it's going to taste the same, though.
Okay, so we should kind of slowly wrap up. Let's get a few questions in. So let's see. Yeah. Is the plan to have 12 car manufacturing plants by 2027? How many plants do you think there will be by 2027? So You want to go first, Oracle, or should I take it?
I'll go first.
right.
I don't know if they're gonna have 12 plants. It's possible. Because I figure if they do basically one a year, it'll be close. And I know obviously initially they've got the set that they've got. They're gonna have one probably on for the Model 2. They've got one in North America. They're going to have one in Europe and one in the Asia Pacific region. So obviously we already know Mexico. India is most likely going to be the Asia Pacific. And then we're going to have one somewhere in Europe, wherever, maybe Italy. I'm not sure where they're going to end up having the one there for the Model 2. So that's 3 new factories there. And then I'm sure they're going to do some more localized ones as well for logistic purposes. Like we may see one in the UK. We may see one in like Australia or Indonesia, maybe one in Japan. Whether we get to 12 or not, I don't know. I don't think 12 is needed in order to hit the 20 million vehicles per year that they want. But for logistical purposes, for cost, they might do more. The mega pack plants could be more. There might be more of those than we end up seeing. Depends on, just because shipping costs, I would imagine shipping a mega pack would cost a lot more than shipping a vehicle because of the size. So they may end up having more mega pack plants out there. I think we're going to end up seeing one in probably Southeast Canada. We'll end up seeing one. Well, I'm sure we'll see one in Australia, maybe one in Indonesia. And obviously we see one in Shanghai, maybe one in India also. And we haven't even gotten to like South America or Africa. And those are areas that are just ripe for that kind of stuff.
They haven't detailed out plans when the next mega pack. I know there's 2. Is it 2 or 3 right now? Mega pack plants.
Well, they've got the 2 that are announced. They've got Lathrop and they've got Shanghai. Those are the 2 those are 2 that they're building right now. So they've got the one that's still over in California, and the original one that's in Nevada. But the Nevada one is the one that they're building up now.
Okay. So how many? So how much do you think they will have mega pack factories around the world? By 2027, like Joe Mans asked.
By 20, maybe they have 10. I think 10 is probably realistic. And the reason that, like, I thought Tesla was going to go super fast with these factories, but Farzad brought up a great point when it comes to culture, and then also bringing up the fact that every time Tesla puts up a new factory, they learn something from the previous factory to make the new one better. So if they just threw up 5 factories all at once, it doesn't give them an opportunity to learn from the previous one to make it better in the next one. So I think that's why they stagger them the way they do, pick up information from the first one. Cool. We'll make the next one better. We'll make it even better and more efficient. Ramp will be faster. It'll be more cost effective. They're going to do the same thing with the mega pack factories.
Nice. And what do you think about the car manufacturer? How many plants do you think they'll have? I know he says 2027, but let's just say in total, how many gigafactories do you think?
I think in total, 12 is probably all they need. If they end up doing more than that, it'll be strictly, like I said, for logistical purposes. But would they even need to at that point? I don't know. So I think 12 is the most they would actually need, especially if their goal is 20 million vehicles a year, and they're going to be producing 2 million out of a significant chunk of them. There's really no point in putting up more factories. Why spend the money on the factories when you already have enough factories to produce what you're trying to produce?
There we go. Yeah, in my opinion, mega pack factories around 8 to 10 would make sense to support and promote sustainable and renewable energy for storage. And for car gigafactories, we have 4 now, 5 with Mexico. Mexico, they're doing 4 million or 2 million production?
So the rumor was they're going to end up getting to 4 million, but it's sort of like when Berlin came out and they said 500,000, then we knew for sure that it was going to actually be 1 million. I think they're starting with a goal of 2 million Model 2s coming out of Mexico, but I'm sure that will go up.
Okay. So if you want to just be conservative and say 2 million, and you have Texas doing 1.5, and you would have Berlin doing 2 million? Because they're not done the phases.
Yeah, Berlin, I think because I know they had the expansion allowance. I don't know if it was allowed to 2 million or if it was just over 1 million, but I think Berlin has the potential to get to 2 million.
So yeah, if you do that, just doing some rough numbers, Shanghai, yeah, you would easily get, and if they do expand Shanghai to 2 million, yeah, maybe 8 to 10 to even 12, like you said, if they're doing 2 million per factory. I think that would make sense. Where do you think they will be? Ha.
Let me see. I think they're going to be in Fremont. They're going to be in Austin. Let me see. So ones that we haven't heard of announced yet. I think Indonesia or South Korea will end up seeing one. I think they're each one's going to have something. I think Japan, I think, will have one. Australia. There's going to be at least 2 in Europe. I think eventually we'll end up seeing 1 in Africa and 1 in South America also.
Okay.
Where I don't know, but I think they have a lot of groundwork to do there. But seeing as they don't even have much of an infrastructure to start with, I think it's a good place where Tesla can go in there and kind of start fresh. And instead of, here in the US, they've got to come here with energy, and they're like, all right, well, we have an old electrical grid that we're working with, and we're going to convert that over to solar. You go to places that don't even have an electrical grid at all, you can just put solar in there and start right from scratch. And there's a lot of areas in the world that are like that. And they can Tesla has the ability to turn third world countries into first world countries just because of the technology they can bring them. And I think we're going to see that in the next couple of decades.
That's true. Well, that's I think that's it. That's all we have for today, really. I mean, I know Raymond. He's like, I'll bring champagne and a box of tissues.
Just in case on both sides, we'll be crying with our champagne. We beat earnings, but the stock is selling off, and Elon farted on the earnings call, and Wall Street doesn't like that.
It's gonna be such interesting Q2 earnings.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, guys, we're doing it on Oracle's channel on Wednesday. 3:30. That's Central
Eastern time. 3:30 Eastern time.
Eastern time.
We're starting. Yep.
Eastern time.
Half an hour before market close.
Exactly. Yeah, he'll send the link and everything, and then I'm very excited for that. I know who's Muhammad. Muhammad was illiterate. Pejjy, what's going on, man? Shout out to you. So yeah, that's all that we have today. I'm at 94 cents. Oracle is at 88 cents. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens in the Q2 earnings report on Wednesday that we're going to be on Oracle's channel. So comment down below on this video, or even in the live chat, it's still here, what your estimates are. And I shall see you guys in the next video. Same thing with Oracle.
Thanks,
see you guys. And next video. See ya. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.